Alright, so we're going to make some gumbo here. So here's some basic ingredients here. You got onion, garlic, jalapenos, serrano peppers, red bell pepper, canola oil, flour, some sausage. Also got a rotisserie chicken that's boiling currently. And then of course we got a rice cooker. And so stand by and we'll follow a step-by-step here experience of how to make some gumbo. Alright, so I started making some gumbo here. So initially I started with basically a rotisserie chicken. I'm just going to boil this for, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. Kind of get it like fall off the bone chicken. It's also going to create the chicken broth liquid later. The next step, we'll do is kind of start the roux from scratch, which is really just, equal parts flour, and we're going to use some canola oil. So we'll do that in the same pan here after I empty out this water and boil the chicken for a while. So yeah, stand by. Okay, so the chicken just finished cooking here, so I just took that back out. Now, after like 45 minutes cooking, it'll all the chicken will fall off the bone, so we'll kind of put that aside for now. I kept the broth in a separate thing. I also had more broth over there. Wouldn't fit in that container. So next, we're going to kind of char the sausage here. I'll do that first, then we'll throw some chicken in after you peel it all from each bones here. So in the same pot, it's pretty key to keep everything in the same pot to maintain flavor. We're going to add all of this. I got some oil in the bottom here, but we'll add all of the sausage and we'll let that get a little bit charred, get some flavor on there in this pot. After that cooks a little bit, I'll be adding some of the chicken in after you kind of pick this all off of the bones and make sure you remove any of the non-edible stuff from this rotisserie chicken. Okay, so you can see now the sausage is getting nice charred there for some flavor, and the same pot we're going to be using as well for the gumbo. I also got all the chicken off of the rotisserie chicken. It all kind of fell off the bones. You kind of just pick it with your hand, make sure it's all relatively small pieces now. And then you can add this to this same pot and kind of add more flavor here. And then as soon as this is charred a little bit for flavor, we'll put both of these meats aside and we'll start the roux. Okay, so I got the charred chicken and sausage over here just left to the side. Same pot is cleared. So now we have to make the roux, the most important part of any gumbo. You're obviously going to want to make this from scratch, not using any instant roux powders. Those are not going to be as good. So the roux, basically I took a soup spoon like this and I'm doing equal parts canola oil and flour. So I just did 3 scoops of canola oil and I'm about to add 3 scoops of flour. And then we will constantly stir this on low heat for at least 45 minutes. So it's a nice dark chocolate brown. So as you can see when you first add these, it's a very small amount of liquid. It starts out as a more milky white, but you just got to be constantly stirring this very low heat for a long time as this cooks and builds the base roux of the gumbo. Alright, so it has been 19 minutes of constant stirring on this. And yeah, it's starting to get a little bit browner here. You can also turn up the heat. If it starts to bubble and boil, it might kind of get away from you, so you got to adjust the heat, turn it down a little more. I've been stirring this quite well here that I haven't really actually had it boil at all, so it's a nice slow cook. There's no rush to cooking gumbo here, but yeah, I mean, there are ways you can, cook it in a half hour. I just don't see the point. If you want it to taste better, take your time. So we'll check back in. And we got this roux to be a pretty dark chocolate brown here. It has been exactly 49 minutes, and this is where I'm at. Constant stirring. I actually haven't had any bubbles or anything. I actually focused a lot on the stirring part here. This looks like a good part here. I'd start adding some vegetables. So we're gonna add in order vegetables, then we'll add the meat. We'll let that cook for a while. So each one you're gonna let in steps cook. I got some onions and some garlic over here. I might actually chop up the garlic a little more. We'll add vegetables, then we'll add the meat, and then back to the chicken broth. Alright, so I just stirred in the onions, let that cook for about 5 minutes. Next I got very nice diced garlic here. I'm going to throw that in. You could probably chop it up finer. I just didn't have the material to do so. So we'll throw that in now. Let that cook for a few minutes. Toss in the meat. Alright, so we added the onions, let that cook for a few minutes, added the garlic, let that cook about 10 minutes. Now we got a very nice dark chocolate roux here. Very cooked vegetables. It's very important that you guys make sure these are nice and soft to eat. Now we can add the chicken and sausage in here. We'll let that go for a few minutes as well. And then we will move on to adding the broth and then the spices eventually. Alright, now we're going to add the chicken broth back to this whole concoction. Alright, so we got that chicken broth. I got what was remaining in this pitcher. And then we'll let this cook. You gotta stir every maybe 20 minutes or so for this one. Oh, and there it is. Alright, so the final steps to this, just add everything together. We're gonna have to let this cook for about 2 hours if you want this to taste great. And that's pretty much it. Make some rice and serve that together. Gumbo. Alright, it's about 4 hours later. Gumbo's ready. You set a nice rice bowl here, and then you just throw the gumbo on top, and you're ready to enjoy. 4 hours later, you have some delicious gumbo. Final product of gumbo, tasting delicious.
Okay, sorry.